Welcome to Rich Thoughts, Poor Jokes, the podcast where meaningful conversations about mental wealth meet a healthy dose of humor. Each week, your hosts, Dr. Roxy Riefkohl-Cook and Dr. Stephanie Ellis, two of Houston's most respected doctors of counseling and psychology, coach you on the path to mental wealth. They will not just inspire, but entertain you while empowering you to elevate your life.
Welcome to Rich Thoughts, Poor Jokes, the mostly serious podcast about mental wealth, where two psychotherapists
are here to teach you how to have security, freedom, and luxury in every part of your life.
Welcome back. We're happy that you're joining us again for more information about communication wealth. We titled this episode, Common Sense Isn't Common in Communication. But before we jump in, Dr. Ellis, last week it was such a hit, your joke, that one of our listeners asked if you would make sure that you were given another one to share about communication. So here you go.
This is such a good idea. Thanks, listeners. You're my favorites. You're why we do this. A woman goes to the doctor looking fantastic. Hair and makeup done by a professional, Gucci heels, Versace dress, Prada purse. I've been stung by a nasty insect of some kind, she tells the doctor, but I'm ashamed to tell you where. It's okay, says the doctor. Our communication is privileged. I won't tell anyone. Okay, says the woman. It was at Walmart. Can we mention brands?
That was fantastic. This is a thing now. It's a thing. Thank you, listener. Jumping in today. Ready? Let's talk about communication wealth. So, how to be a better communicator. We talked last time, we had you guys do a little self-assessment, rate yourself. And what we're hoping is that each time we talk about these items that your number may be coming up a little bit, that you feel better about your ability to communicate. One of the things that we had discussed earlier is that we have to really dig in, though, and also look at some of the elements that we need to take into account when we're thinking about communication, like starting with who are we communicating with? Because there definitely can be some cultural differences in communication. There can be variations in values and belief systems and just the style of communication, right? That people have. And some of this is how they're raised and conditioned and what they see and what they hear around them, some of what they're taught. And so a lot of times we recognize that if you're not in touch with the cultural differences of those that you're talking with, that there can be some misunderstandings or miscommunication, right? One thing that comes to mind is eye contact. That can be different for different people. And silence is another one. Tone of voice. These are all things that we want to keep in mind. And it can also be triggering for others.
And especially the nonverbal stuff that you mentioned, it's not something that anybody's really thinking about. They're not thinking about how they're presenting it. We are not thinking about how we're receiving it, but it's a lot of the communication process. And I think that's what we mean when we say common sense isn't common. So let me go on. Let me go on a little journey here. 2025 is a weird time to live in. And I do not mean this politically. I don't mean weird compared to 2024. I mean weird compared to 5,000 BC. Weird compared to living in a small community of hunter-gatherers. Weird compared to the way that our nervous systems were built over the past 300,000 years, of which this time that we're in is a very, very, very small part. So our heritage as people is living in small groups. You might know 300 people your entire life, from the time you were born to the time you die. You are within shouting distance, basically, of every person you ever know. There's a lot about that that's built into us, along with the expectation that everybody's experiencing the same world we're experiencing. If you have lived in the same place, if you have grown up with the same 300 people, if you are engaged in the same activities, if you literally live in the same landscape, if you are facing all of the same concerns, if everyone in your community communicates in the same way, of course, your facial expressions mean the same things. Of course, you have a shared context in which to understand the language, spoken and unspoken, that everybody around you is using. Okay, welcome to America 2025. That is just not how we live anymore.
True. And can I also throw in the ways that we communicate, right? So as in not the speaking and the nonverbal, but email, text.
Oh.
Yeah. Not just the old school phone with the 37-foot line that I took around the corner to try to get some privacy. Not just like that.
Well, and I like that you brought up email and texting too. I don't know that we'll go into it a bunch today, but I want to take the moment just because you brought it up to say there's a virtue. There's one single virtue, I think, of email and texting compared to voice communication. There are a lot of cons, right? Because you lose a lot of that paraverbal, nonverbal communication that's really important, tone and timing and facial expression and body posture and all that kind of stuff. But the one virtue is that you have time.
Yes.
You have time to do those things, like the things that we talked about last week. The stop, drop, and control my emotions. You have time. If you were sitting and writing an email, crown jewel, if you're sending an email to somebody and it's a tough one, don't put their address in the to line until you're finished. But you have time. You have time to choose your words so that you can be as clear as possible. You have time not just to do that, but also to do the quote unquote listening, right? To really sort of take in what that other person has said without that working memory issue that we had last time. That's that wall of text.
Good.
Text.
Glad you brought that up.
Okay. If you have to communicate that way, I'd say use the one thing that you've got going for it.
What are some other variations or things that we need to keep in mind?
This might be just a sort of variation on common sense isn't common, but your norm may not be somebody else's. And it is our tendency to think, well, honestly, it's our tendency just to think the worst about stuff. That's also this nice kind of very, very old human habit that our nervous systems, it's a lot more important if something is poisonous than if it's not. It's a lot more important if something is a tiger than a hedgehog. It's a lot more important if that cloud formation really is a storm than if it's not. So we are pre-wired kind of to assume the worst. And it's a good thing for us to know and be aware of, right? So then anytime we experience something that's a little bit different than what we're expecting, it's like our go-to is to kind of think it's not great, right? I'm being disrespected, or this person thinks I'm wrong, or this person definitely is wrong, or things like that.
Yes.
I'm a little nervous about this next part. Maybe...
Are we going to get a tangent again?
Well,
What's
not
happening?
tangent as much as, but I think people have a tendency to take this the wrong way straight up front, which is intention versus impact. And I do think that has a tendency to get a little political. It doesn't need to.
Agree.
And but it's not, we can't not talk about it. So let's do. Okay. So we are very aware of what our own intentions are when we are, no, that's not true. No.
Hold up.
It's easier for us to be aware of our own intentions than it is for us to be aware of the impact our communication has on another person, although we aren't always aware of it. So harken back again to last week and sort of getting yourself right and kind of being self-aware, knowing what your intention is. Okay, that's at least possible for you to do for yourself. And then we'll sort of march into a communication situation with our good intentions and kind of assume that the other person is a blank slate, willing receptacle for our intentions. And then things fall apart and we're perplexed about why. All right. And so it's like we have to think about the impact piece if we're going to do that, if we're going to actually communicate, not just say a thing clearly, but have that thing understood the way that we mean for it to be.
Beautifully stated. And then the impact, which is the actual effect or the consequence that your communication is for the recipient, right? It's how the other person is actually perceiving the message, even if that wasn't your intention, right? So you give some advice that would be, your intention would be good and well, but the impact might be your advice sounds judgmental.
Anybody had a teenager ever? Spoken to a teenager? Seen one on TV? Something like that? Is that what you mean?
That.
Oh, okay.
That's what I mean, for sure. Definitely. Okay. So can we discuss for a minute maybe some tips to help our listeners align their intention and the impact?
We should. I think they like it when we give them practical tips.
Let's do it.
All right. Number one, once again, we're in the territory of things that are kind of simple, but not necessarily easy. And so I would say maybe the first thing that people have to be able to do is have some self-awareness. Goodness gracious, sometimes I am very aware that we are therapists talking. And then we say, have self-awareness like it's just something you can pick up at the grocery store. It's difficult.
It is, and it can be. And it goes back to what we've said before, which is if this is not going the way that you would like for it to go, and the fact that you're having relational work, parenting conflict, then that's a good place to check in. What is it that's keeping me from being able to get there?
Well, and I want to say too, there's two pieces to this. If you're always having difficulty, if your conversations never seem to go the right way, I mean, I hate to break it to you, but it's definitely you. But here's the thing. Sometimes it's not you, but you're still the only person you can do anything about. So even if it's not happening all the time, even if you think that you're being a great communicator, you can probably do better. Now, listen, should you have to do better? No. Should other people be as good of a communicator as you are? Yes. Should the world be a just and fair place? Cool. That would be great. But here we are. If you want to have better communication, you're the one who needs to do the thing. Right? So part of this is when do the conversations fall apart? That's a good thing to be aware of. Sometimes that is what happens right before all of my big thoughts start screaming or my big emotions come up in a wave. I don't like the word triggers, but other people do, so I'll just say it. But
I do.
What's happening? What's happening right before things go down the toilet? Right. So that's a good thing to be aware of. Your own nonverbals are an incredibly difficult thing to be aware of. As anybody who watches us and doesn't just listen to us knows, I could even use a little work on that myself. So nonverbals are one of those things that you're really not going to get to without feedback, but still an important thing to be aware of, if you can.
And reiterating what you said earlier, and that is the expectation is not that you're supposed to be able to get all of this, break it down, know exactly how to figure all this out. So go and get some help. And again, if you have a person that is really good, a therapist, someone that can help you break this down, they will get examples from you and you'll talk about those things. And then you'll be able to start having this self-awareness that we're speaking about when things arise.
Some of it will be obvious even to you. If you don't have a person in your life who can do this, but you can video yourself doing a podcast and then watch it back, you'll learn something interesting about yourself that you didn't know before. You might, though. A friend might also give you this kind of feedback. A therapist would certainly be willing to. But then it's also, that's an ongoing process because as we have been saying, and I think we're going to continue to say, every person you are communicating with is different. So sometimes it's going to need to be feedback from that specific person.
Absolutely. And in our very last episode in this series, we are going to talk about that with some examples because we definitely know that constructive criticism is something that that everyone not only should be able to give, but also receive. Yeah.
Aren't you excited for the last episode in this series? We're not going to warn you when it's coming up.
Another thing, intention versus impact, is just the clarity, right?
Oh, wait.
Oh.
I know I talked for a long time about self-awareness, but I didn't get to the hardest part.
Okay.
So maybe I was avoiding it.
Say it.
Which is
Get it out there.
Our own biases and assumptions. You know, there's this really fun cognitive bias, and it's called the bias blind spot. And what it means is everybody, remember the thing about how everybody thinks they're an above average driver? Everybody thinks they are above average in terms of not having biases too. So we have a tendency, every person, you and me both, you guys listening, has a tendency to minimize our own sense of bias. And I'm not just saying bias in terms of things like
You don't like
racial,
the color gray.
Like I'm not even talking about the big heavy stuff. I'm just saying, you come from a world and a history, and every time you start a new conversation, it's every day you've ever lived, and everything that happened that you were and weren't aware of in every one of those days is coming along with you. And that's what I mean when I say biases and assumptions. It's just stuff that is so natural to us that we don't give it a lot of time and attention. Right? And so sometimes it takes somebody calling us out on it. But if you want to avoid being called out on it, it's worth a little bit of time and attention to yourself.
It's an important one. Glad you went back to that.
Okay.
Glad you went back to that. And of course, we already talked about this. We started with this, and that is the listening part, the active listening. It's imperative.
Okay, and then you said clarity, and then I went back so I could own the biases part. So we take us back to clarity.
Oh, clarity. Yes. Just that. Just doing really what you can to be specific, right? In your communication. And then falling alongside that has to do with, and we're going to talk about this later, is the feedback piece, right? So you can give clear communication. We're going to talk about giving instructions or directions. But then we have to know, was it received? So
I like that piece too when we talk about feedback, and it's feedback is supposed to be the nice word for criticism, but we've had it now for a long time, so it freaks everybody out, the word feedback. But I don't want it to freak people out because that other person who you're communicating with has also been living for a number of days. Also, everything they've ever experienced, consciously and unconsciously, for every day of their life has come with them. So when you get feedback from another person, you're just learning something else about their world. And how to interact with their world, as opposed to receiving constructive feedback or something scary necessarily, right?
what you're saying is it really is positive.
Well, it can be.
Yeah. Communication styles.
Oh, yeah.
This is a biggie and really important when we speak about communication. So you want to start with?
Well,
The
will
first
you intro us to the types, and then we'll
Okay.
do one at a time.
4 types of communication styles. You'll have other people out there that'll say that there's others, but we're going to focus on the 4 main communication styles. Passive, passive-aggressive,
Everyone's favorite one.
aggressive, and assertive.
Okay, and y'all have been on the internet before, so you have a little bit of an idea about this, right? Passive communication means not asking for what you want or need. It means making no demands, and it means not saying no, clearly. So here's an example. You invite a friend to go to the movies. Do people do that still? That's awesome.
Invite a friend to go to the movies?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Do you want to go to the movies?
I want to. Thanks.
Okay.
I don't. My life doesn't seem to accommodate things like that, but I'm excited for all of you listeners who invite your friends to the movies. So you invite your friend to the movies, and then they show up late. How dare they? After you invited them, how dare they? But if you are in a passive mode, what you're going to say is nothing, or you're going to say it's okay, and then you're just going to tuck that away and not bring it up again.
Yes. And one of the things that I like to, when I'm describing this passivity or passive communication, the message sometimes really feels like or seems to be, I don't matter, but you matter. Passive aggressive. I don't matter and you don't matter. Yeah. So this is expressing yourself indirectly, basically, instead of directly, right? So the example of that would be with the friend piece. You have plans to go to the movies and your friend shows up late and you say, it's okay. And then you ignore her the rest of the time.
Punish them.
Yes. Give her the silent treatment, right? Passive aggressive communication.
So with passive, it's like I say it's okay, and then I have to convince myself it really is okay, and just keep convincing myself it's okay. With passive aggressive, it's like I say the one thing, but
React.
Instead of communicating clearly that it was not okay, I'm just going to communicate it in any other way I can figure out how to communicate it to you. And it's messy, right? Because we already are talking about how difficult it is for other people to get the message we intend when we're being very clear.
Yes.
But with passive aggressiveness, we're sort of intentionally being veiled about it. So that's, okay, that sounds like a great idea. Oof.
Doesn't work.
All right. Aggressive communication has the virtue of clarity. Can I say it like that?
Okay.
You invited me to the movie. What are you doing being late? You're always like this. It's such a problem.
Ouch.
So I'm not getting invited to the movies anymore.
Nope.
It was clear.
It was.
I mean, I was not happy, and you know I'm not happy, but...
That's just strange also because I've never seen you talk that way.
So
that was a little weird for me. I had a moment.
We have to do what we have to do for the listeners, Dr. R.
Okay. Thank you for the example. So aggressive, I matter, you don't matter.
Oof.
Okay. And this is the teachable moment. The way that we want to communicate is assertively. And this is being able to express yourself, your thoughts, your feelings, where you're doing it clearly, you're doing it respectfully. The person that is receiving it knows that their feelings matter too, right? I matter and you matter.
Assertiveness, the word, I feel like gets a bad rap sometimes, right? Like it's a synonym for being bossy or something like that, but it really isn't. It's a sort of being able to say a thing I wanted, a thing I like, I don't like, saying no, saying yes, but just doing that in a way that both values the other person and is clear.
Yes. So your friend shows up late. You guys now are late getting to the movie. Can you speak to your friend assertively?
Ooh, I knew I was going to get put on the spot for this one. Dr. R, maybe you don't know this about me, but being late really stresses me out. And I know that all we missed was the trailers, but I really like the trailers. So I just want to let you know, in case we do this again, I want to be here in time for the trailers.
Excellent. So in the future,
bring your own car. Oh, no. Wait, is it getting...
You're moving to passive aggressive.
Oh, no. There it went. See how easy it is? See how easy it is to slip into one of these other things? Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So once again, you listeners, you are not on the hook to do this perfectly.
Definitely not.
All the time.
But we're going to practice.
Right away.
We're going to practice assertive communication.
Well, you do it then.
No, we're going... No, what I mean is we want our listeners, of course we're practicing it, yes. But also later on in, I think episode 4, we're going to give you some real good examples in all areas of your life, relational, parental, work, with coworkers, how to speak assertively. So, okay.
What I hear you saying right now is you will not be giving an example. You're going to wait another 2 weeks.
Correct.
Before your turn.
That's right.
Okay.
Because I want to make sure that I practice.
That's great.
Okay, looking on the flip side, right? So one of the reasons, a lot of times when we go into things and we go, why should I be working on this? Why should I want my number to come up as being a better communicator? Well,
ooh, and why should I do it if the other person's not doing it? Cross my arms and pout.
We definitely hear that. So let's talk for just a second then about how, if you don't, how it can cost you. In what ways?
I would really like for there to be a sound that happens on our podcast right now that is a toilet flushing.
Okay.
Can we get a toilet flush here?
I like it. Toilet flushing. Communication down the toilet. What kinds of things will go down the toilet, Dr. Ellis?
Everything will go down the toilet.
Okay.
Whether it should be the other person's responsibility to be doing as much work on the relationship as you are doing, they may not be. Or, hear me out, they might be, but because common sense isn't common, you might not be giving them credit for doing it. So go ahead and assume, give them the benefit of the doubt that maybe they are doing some of their own work. Maybe they haven't listened to the podcast, so they're not doing the exact same work as you are doing. Let's just go ahead and assume they're working, right? So it's okay for you to work because you want your relationships to be good. You want to stay employed. Maybe you want to stay married. Maybe you want your kids to talk to you when they're grown-ups.
All great reasons to work on your communication skills. Yes. Okay. Time for the crown jewels.
Let's do it.
Crown jewel number 1. Your communication norm may not be someone else's.
It's definitely not someone else's. Crown jewel number 2, focus on impact rather than just your intention.
And crown jewel number 3, assertive communication is really the only way.
Listen, the consequences of having poor communication they're really significant. And so get help. If you're not communicating effectively, here's our weekly call. That's it. For things that therapists are good at that you didn't know we did.
So thank you for listening today. We have more information to share with you on communication. Please like us if you like us and subscribe.
Share us with your friends, even if you don't like us, because they might.
That's a great idea. And send in questions because we're gonna answer your questions. And after our very last episode.
Okay. Can't wait to talk to you again.
Thank you for tuning in to Rich Thoughts, Poor Jokes. We hope today's episode offered insight or possibility, a new perspective on your mental wealth journey. Tune in next week for more strategies to drive success. Please consider subscribing or sharing this episode with someone else because your mental wealth matters. and a few rich thoughts and poor jokes can help you live with abundance.